Filipino martial arts 6-direction star pattern using Witik style strikes. So this one goes out to Jason O'Neill, who saw my 6-direction redondo video and asked if I could do one using Witik strikes. I thought it was a great idea, so here we go. Let's remember 6-direction star pattern is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 angles of attack. And Witik strike could mean a lot of different things depending on who you ask. I'm going to show a couple versions of what Witik does often mean, but recognize that there might be other variations in theme out there. And if you as a teacher or as a student are accustomed to a different version of what Witik means, that's perfect. You should keep that for you. Here's maybe something else you could try. Witik for Filipino martial art means any blow that comes out and back on the same line of attack, the same plane of motion. Usually it's considered a cheating blow. So you have something that goes out part way in service of having a full follow through. It could be that it's a positive or effective strike, just snapping out and back. It could be something that kind of cheats the line so that you could do something else. The retraction is as or arguably more important than the acceleration, than the advancement of the technique. If it goes forward at 50 miles an hour, it should come back at 100. It goes to the center line rather than through the center line. With that in mind, Witik is really fairly simple. It might actually be the first one that you learn. So I'm just gonna start my stick in the position relative to each angle. Therefore, angle 1 is just gonna snap out and back. I'm using a lot of elbow and some shoulder for bounce and retraction. Like it has a little bit of a spring quality to it, so long as I don't overdo the spring and bounce too far back to create a gap. The body is going to get involved. The shoulder and hip will rotate towards the center and come back out so that I've got more body behind it, a little more power, more momentum, and more control over the motion. So that will be 1, 2, 3 times for the angle 1. All right, so angle 2, then I'm just gonna start on the backhand side because the blow needs to come out and back on the same plane of movement. One way is to move your body in the direction of the blow, just like I did for angle 1, so that it's coiling behind the motion, closing the body off. So 1, 2, my rear shoulder and to a lesser degree hip are turning towards the center, stacking up square, maybe even going further in front and becoming the lead shoulder. So 1, 2, 3. This is particularly important for a close range Witik on the backhand side, whereas for a longer range, you might have a counter rotation, so that my rear shoulder is actually going to pull the opposite direction, pull away, and there's going to be an opening of the body, of the chest, this way, like you would counter rotate for a back fist in a lot of arts. So a longer range angle 2 will come 1, 2, 3. Closer range here, longer range, snapping out and back. All right, angle 3, just gonna start it from this position. So Witik is gonna go to the center and back. I'm gonna use the rotation of the body to deliver force through the blow. So the foot rotation is gonna go 1, 2, 3. It's the reset of the pivot that pulls the stick or the sword back to its original position. One version for this is going to have the weight stay a little more forward. If it's dumping weight into the front foot, I can't pivot, so it's not that. It's just that I'm a little more forward this way. And another version might have the weight coming from the front but moving to the back foot as you're pivoting. So instead of staying in the middle here, I'm starting with the weight a little bit loaded up front, but transferring the weight back. So it makes it easier to move this and to change the foot position if you need to. So angle 4, like angle 2, by virtue of also being a backhand, can be done as a more short-ranged, closed chain position, as well as an opening type of attack. Just like the angle 2, pivoting the rear foot this time instead of the lead foot for the forehand. It's the rear foot for the backhand. 1, 2, and 3. You can also use that hand to add a little bit of force, velocity, control with the stick by attaching it here to the backhand side. The counter rotation version then, again, will be longer, has a little more of a whipping action to it, rotating the other direction. And my front foot is gonna counter rotate so that my heel points a little bit in the direction of the target itself. 1, 2, 3. Okay, diagonal forehand. I actually like to use the other hand for some help in controlling the stoppage, right? The part where it actually stops and recoils. Because at least for me, and it could just be a deficit on my side, I find it a little harder to go up and down as opposed to going down and back up. So I might use this hand as a bit of a set of brakes for this. With the tip down, think of curving this up, like maybe I'm gonna pick something up and lift it so that it's facing me, or better yet, see the twist of my wrist? It's facing past my shoulder. That will allow the middle knuckle, which is associated with the edge of an edged weapon, to be put onto the middle. So that's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Without the stick, I'm going 1, 2, 3. See the knee bend? Pushing weight through that rear hip every time. If we're calling this angle 6, this backhand motion, basically you've got this kind of motion. I really like to add a little bit with the empty hand to the blow for this low one. I feel like it gives me a different sense of control. The hand just kind of wants to be there anyways. So this is going here and back, here and back. As we said before, the retraction is really important, and that's particularly true here, so that as this goes out, I'm not lazy and drifting it back. And if I'm hitting something on the way back, it could go God knows where. So being intentional and deliberate in how you're moving this back, I think is important. So I like to prioritize that. So I'm pivoting the rear foot in the direction of the blow for the shorter range, closed position, 1, 2, and 3. Or I'm opening, counter-rotating the lead foot to deliver that snapping motion out and back every time on the low line for the long range. All right, that is 6-direction star pattern with tick strikes. If you have any requests, let me know. I actually really love doing requests. So thank you for coming up with the idea for the suggestion. And I hope that this was helpful. Thank you for watching, subscribing, liking, following, commenting, all those good things. And we'll keep this going for the next one.